The Denver Broncos should roll the Carolina Panthers. In this video, I go behind enemy lines with Clay. He is a diehard Panthers fan, creates great content over there. I'll link to our full live stream in the description. But in this video, we break down just how the Denver Broncos are going to avoid a trap game against the Carolina Panthers, what we have to do to stop this offense, what Josie Jewell's return will do to this defense, how Bo Nix could get going, what the keys to victory are for your Denver Broncos, and what it's going to mean for this team when we are 2 games above 500 heading into November. Let's dive in.
It's a tough time to be a Carolina Panthers fan right now.
It's still not the low point. The low point was Cam Newton not going for the fumble when the man, the myth, the legend, Von Miller just...
Right. You had to bring me back with some PTSD, didn't you? Just a little bit.
The first football game I went to as a middle schooler and fell in love with this team was a 34-0 drubbing of the Carolina Panthers. Probably before you were even born, 97. No, you were born. Okay.
I was born in 92.
Okay, cool. You're not that much younger than me then. That's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like, I don't know. Like, I know Carolina's been a good team, but they've never been a hard matchup for us, you know?
Right. We've never been good in Denver, against Denver, and in Denver. It's never worked out in our favor. They are 2-6 against the Broncos. And of course, Ben came on and have had to bring me some PTSD. The last time, I think the last time we played was the Super Bowl, no?
Yep.
Oh, that's the last time we played. And the Denver's on a roll. Y'all had a little bit of a shaky start, but Sean Payton's got the show running. So how does the AFC West look like right now for you guys and then the rest of the teams?
Yeah. So I think obviously we're super discouraged at how good Kansas City looks because Patty Mahomes hasn't even started playing good ball yet. And actually Bo Nix's number of touchdowns, incompletions, touchdown interception ratio, Bo Nix is outplaying Patrick Mahomes, yet they still have not lost a game. You know, they lose Pacheco, they lose Rashee Rice, they lose Hollywood Brown. The list goes on and on. They find ways to win. So it feels like they're almost uncatchable at this point. Like, I think we would have to beat them both times, which is going to be a tough task. And then they have to, you know, they have a stretch where they play 3 games in 10 days because they play the first ever Christmas game on a Wednesday. So I'd be furious if the NFL gave me that kind of schedule. You know, like, there's no way the most injured team in football has to play 3 games in 10 days. It doesn't seem fair. But that's an uphill task. Beat them twice and hope they lose again. So they're kind of uncatchable. The Chargers, we played them, and on the first play on defense, Patrick Surtain had a concussion and he went out.
Yeah.
And Vance Joseph just like panicked and completely changed how he played defense the rest of that half. And they went up quick on us, like 20-0, or actually 23-0. And then we rattled off 16 straight. They didn't move the ball again after halftime. And really, I think if we'd gotten one more quarter, we would have beat the Chargers. So I'm not worried about the Chargers. They finished last in our division last year. And then y'all beat the Raiders. So you know what they are.
Yeah.
How did Sean do against you when he was at New Orleans?
Sean's probably, I want to say he's at least above 500. I want to see it's either 50-50 or above 500. I'd have to look it up. I'm not really too sure. I know he's got a decent record with us, but I mean, he hates us.
Yeah.
So that's number one. And I honestly think this is going to, some people right now are saying it's going to be closer to what they think, but we'll break that down here in a little bit more. But no, Sean definitely dislikes us. And that's why, you know, once we get into all the previews, final predictions, I'll let you know how I feel. But let's start off with that offense of yours. All right, let's break down the offenses. I'll break down mine down. But let's start with you first. What have you seen from Bo Nix that tells you that? And obviously we can get into the rest of the offense, but I really want to start with Bo Nix. What do you see from Bo Nix that tells you this guy is it? Like, do you see that, or is there?
Yeah, man. I believe I'm going to get a Bo Nix tattoo. My phone is full of shirtless pics of Bo Nix. I don't have them up right here, but like I'm a hardcore believer, dude. He is from the draft, and same as you. Like he wasn't my guy going in it. I wanted it to be JJ McCarthy, and that is because Sean Payton, George Payton, all of our ownership were leaking to the media that they wanted JJ. they came out afterwards and said, haha, we just joked, like, jokes on all of you. We knew after Bo Nix's 12th throw at the pro day that we wanted him. And so I think it's like Sean Payton, his almost like braggadocious attitude about how much he wanted Bo that initially made me be like, have my, hat behind him. And it's interesting you said that about footwork, man, because that's our biggest criticism of him still. So if you watch, we just played Thursday night, so we've had a
Right.
10-day little rest here. And there was a play where he had Troy Franklin wide open in the end zone and then Lucas Kroll wide open, and he would have walked in the end zone, and they were probably 30 yards apart. And he put the ball literally right between the two dudes, like overthrew one, underthrew the other. And you're like, what is that? And when Bo Nix doesn't hit his first read, his footwork is not good. When he plants on his back foot and the ball comes out, he is insanely accurate. But it's like when that first read's not open, he starts dancing a little, and he's throwing off a right foot instead of a left. And so I think that'll continue to clean up. I think the reason I feel confident about him is like he is just such a great leader. And it's like Peyton Manning and Tim Tebow had a baby, and I don't know, like a beautiful baby that I just want to hold in my arms. So you just don't see him rattle. Our first game was in Seattle, and I was nervous for him, and I probably was more nervous than he was. Like it didn't shake him at all. And then what he's doing now as a designed runner reminds me a lot of like a less physical Josh Allen, but a faster Josh Allen. He has some of the fastest times clocked on those Amazon advanced analytics, like he's hit 20 miles an hour a couple of times, which is faster than any non-wide receiver.
That's crazy.
Or running back. And yes, we saw him, he had popped off 75 yards running RPOs. And Josh Allen early on, before he learned to be accurate and the game slowed down for him, it was all about that, using the run to pick up first downs and let the game slow down for you. So that's when I kind of knew.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he looks like, from being the 12th overall pick, that he's kind of starting to find his footing, right?
Yeah.
Like the stats are solid. Yeah, I was looking at him earlier, 61.2% of and I got him pulled up right here, 61.2% percentage over 1,200 yards, 5 touchdowns, 5 interceptions over the past 7 games. Yeah, you watch his game film, he's damn hard to sack, right? Yeah. He's only been dropped maybe like 9 times this season. So, and he's got the 3rd lowest sack rate. So that's going to be a huge issue for Carolina because, right now we don't have any press rush right now. The biggest thing for me is not really Bo Nix. It's your running back field, and let's start with them. Give me your thoughts on like what I can expect from Javonte Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin.
Yeah. So Bo, it's weird because coming into the season, a lot of people were saying that Javonte was a cut candidate going into the season because we had this cat named Samaje Perine who's now playing for Kansas City Chiefs and looks great there. We went out and got this guy named Audric Estime who looks like the Incredible Hulk from Notre Dame. Yep, exactly. Yep. And then we have Jaleel, who reminds me of Jahmyr Gibbs. He hasn't popped off like that, but he is so fast, dude. Yeah. Just a huge change of pace back. And so we were like, man, we're not going to be able to carry all these running backs. And Javonte, his rookie year, Bill Simmons was talking about him on his show, Ryan Russillo, like he was a national story. And then he had a ACL and MCL that everyone says like that's a 2-year injury, that it's not a 1 year. And so this is like the second full year he's coming off of that. He lost 11 pounds in the off season and he was coming on kind of slow, but then as of recent, he's looked like old Javonte. And our offensive line is the highest paid offensive line in football. And honestly, I think you guys are better than the Saints. Like the Saints are a dumpster fire right now. So in that way, like I don't think we'll run the ball quite as well as we did against them, but that will be our goal. Is like,
Ben, you're gonna make me blush if you keep telling me that because
you're better than the Saints, dude. The wild thing for me that has me nervous is that the
do you feel like this is a trap game a little bit?
I kind of do, man. And the only thing that gives me confidence is like if Sean actually hates you guys, that he'll like hype them up and be like, I hate these guys, like they're good, and he won't take his foot off the gas. But the NFL is any given week, man. And part of me, and I said it on my video today, there's a part with like, everyone is like laughing at Young now or whatever. but he was a consensus number 1 overall draft pick, and he just had his biggest nightmare happen to him already, right? So, like, that's the thing you're dreading all like, your whole career is like, "I don't wanna get benched, I don't wanna get benched," and it could, like, make you pucker up that sphincter. Well, he's now had the worst thing that'll ever happen in his life happen to him, and now he has another shot with no pressure because I think he just goes out and balls out of control. It's like if you have a fear of heights and someone just throws you at the top of a roller coaster and you look down and you're like, "Oh, okay, and now I can do that again." And part of me wonders if you'll start to see that from him now, and so I do think this could be a trap game. You guys beat the Raiders the week after they beat a Super Bowl contending, Ravens team, so I don't think it's a layup by any measure.
Yeah, the problem right now is Carolina is just depleted.
Yeah.
We're depleted with injuries. Like, and I actually want to pull this up real quick, Ben, because here's the injury report for you.
Oof.
And and it's a long list. So obviously, I'm a little bit of a speculation type of guy, a little bit. I think this whole Andy Dalton thing, right thumb, whatever. I kind of feel like it's a little bit of BS.
Huh.
That's just me, just because I know it's an accident, but I think this is them. This gives them the reason to put Bryce back in. All right. But besides that, I mean, you look at Dane Jackson starting third string corner out. Basically, should be our nickel guy, but he's not. They've been moving him and Mike Jackson on the outside, on opposite side of JC Horn. Got Deontay Johnson out. A part of me thinks he's out just because they want to trade him. Because
the Broncos have talked about him and Thielen.
Right. Yep. They've been in conversations. Like, it's a lot of rumors. Like, right now, it's so, you look at this, the injury report. You got Ashawn Robinson, our starting defensive end. You got Nick Scott, which, I mean, he's really not our starter safety, but Jonathan Brooks, which is obviously who we drafted, but he's been out with ACL. Claudin Churlis, basically a undrafted free agent / practice squad player who's supposed to be filling in a middle linebacker. Jordan Fuller, our starting safety. Josie Jewell, you all know about Josie
my
Jewell.
Boy, dude, and I was so mad you guys picked him up, but he's been hurt most of the year, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's been basically since week 2.
Yeah, I remember before the Bears.
He has a hamstring and a groin.
Oof. I have a groin, but I have a groin, but not an injury.
Yeah, I feel that.
Okay.
Right. And then you got Taylor Moton, our starting right tackle. It sounds like he's going to play. And Josh Nijman, who's been basically a swing tackle. Jonathan Radigan, this guy's coming off the practice squad. They moved him up. Jadavion Sanders has been, our starting tight end since Tommy Trimble's been down. He's still questionable. Adam Thielen out. DJ Wanham, his crazy story with blood clots in his biceps or quadriceps. Crazy story there. Jadeveon Clowney, he might be on his way out. There's already been rumors that the Buffalo Bills are coming for him.
Wow.
Yep. Jaden Crometti, our 6th round pick this year. Sam Franklin, he had a foot. Jamie Robinson, knee. Raheem Blackshear, good. Eddie Pinheiro, fine. But it's just a long list.
Yeah, that's huge, dude. And you go down to ours. It sounds like the only guy we'll be missing is PJ Locke. Definitely, he's actually one of my favorite safeties in the league. But we got a Devon Key who balled out of control in the preseason, stepping up for him. And with all your wide receivers out, it doesn't scare me as much. But when we got McGlinchey back, so I think injury-wise, that definitely is in our favor. Coming off a 10-week or 10-day little mini bye, I think is definitely in our favor.
Right. I mean, Carolina's going to have to. They're going to have to shore up the gaps. Our linebackers, hopefully because Josie might play this game. They said that there is a possibility that he could play, which would be huge because that would benefit Trevin Wallace, our rookie, who's actually been a great 3rd round pick. I wasn't very high on him when we drafted him, but I think he's like one of the top tacklers in the NFL right now. And he's a rookie, 3rd round pick. So we definitely got to fill those gaps to slow down the run game. Obviously, the biggest issue for Carolina is getting pressure, which has been non-existent this year. So obviously getting pressure on a rookie quarterback as in Bo Nix, it's got to be, we have to do that. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is getting pressure on him and making him fold up. And that's the only way you Carolina on the defense can make plays, and they just haven't been able to do it all year.
Is Bryce, does he have it? Like, do you draft a quarterback this year, or have you seen flashes of him where you're like, oh, see, look, he can do it? Or are you like, he's, Jamarcus Russell level bust?
I'm starting to think that he's even worse than Jamarcus Russell. But the
How?
reason why, because here's the reason why. Jamarcus Russell, if you go watch his biography, right, and you go learn about him, right, Jamarcus Russell didn't try.
No.
Right?
My favorite story of him was they sent him coaching, like the film of the team for the week before, and he came back and like, hey, what'd you think about it? And he's like, yeah, it was great. And they sent him a blank DVD, bro.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This kid's trying. It's kind of the same thing with like Johnny Manziel. Like, I mean, Johnny Manziel was the same way like Jamarcus Russell was. They didn't watch game film. And this kid sits down, watch game film, he dissects it. He's supposed to have this high IQ, but yet but the actions speak louder than words, right? We see him go out on the field and average 90 yards the first 2 weeks of the season, right? Let's get into this. Let's get into your defense. Obviously, the biggest worry for me is Patrick Surtain. An absolute stud, a guy that we could have had. We actually picked JC Horn over him, But yeah, break down this defense for me. What can Carolina expect?
It is the best defense, full stop, since the Super Bowl we beat you guys in, and it's all over the place, man. So not only is Patrick Surtain the best corner in football, and I don't think that's even a debate.
I don't disagree with you.
And a lot of people say it's sauce, but like, man, Surtain's just a great leader, and he's not a me first guy. Like, you just see the body language of Sauce and taking knees on the middle of the field and pulling himself out of games. And I'm just so glad we have Pat Surtain. So he locks down one side, and then we went out and got this cat out of Iowa, the Great White Hope, Riley Moss, and he's actually PFF's second highest ranked corner in football right now, even though he's been cornerback number 1 the past 2 weeks with Surtain out with a concussion. And so Vance Joseph, our defensive coordinator, has led the league even over Brian Flores in cover 0, meaning like, hey, I'm sending the house and trusting these two guys on an island, and they have been up to task against DK Metcalf, against Pickens, against Mike Evans. We mollywopped the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Godwin was healthy and Evans was healthy there, and they had nothing all day because those guys were locked down. I think before Surtain's injury, he had held the top wideouts in football to under 100 yards throughout those first 5 games, and it's just nasty work. So It all starts, I think, with our corners, and then we've got a platoon of edge rushers, starting with Jonathan Cooper, who's just been balling out of control. We haven't had a 10-sack edge rusher since Bradley Chubb before COVID. Like 2019. Do you remember? Did you guys have COVID in North Carolina? We had it in Denver.
Well, I actually live in South Carolina.
Okay.
But yeah, we had COVID, but it wasn't like other states.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's been a long time since we've had a 10-sack dude, and we're on pace now to have 4 of them. And so you look there, Jonathan Cooper, just nasty off the edge. A 7th round steal that from Ohio State, probably should have been higher in the draft, but had weird heart palpitations, and so they medically reduced him down there. But there are people saying like he should have been a day 1 pick, early day 2 pick, and to have him drop all the way to the 7th round. And then we have Nick Benito, who used to, like when we first drafted him, I think out of Oklahoma, he had one move and it was like all speed, and he has the fastest sacks of like the top 3 fastest sacks in the NFL this year are all him. And it used to be that was all he could do, and he's kind of really developed into being able to stop the run now. So that's crazy. Then we got Jonah Ellis, whose dad played for the Broncos for a while. He's got 2 brothers in the NFL out of Utah.
Yep.
He had a sack in his first game. And then we have Baron Browning, who's probably the best of all of them and has had some injury concerns, and he is back and off the IR now. And so we really have 4 edge rushers. We were able to steal John Franklin Myers out of the Jets because they had thought they had Hassan Reddick. And so they're like, oh, we don't have salary cap here for Franklin Myers. And so we were able to get him for a 7th round draft pick, and he's a day 1 starter for us. And then Zach Allen, even before Christian Wilkinson's injury, he is the best defensive tackle in football right now. Does that map out for the whole year? I don't know, but our defensive line is nasty. Yep. And the biggest concern, so our defensive line is nasty, and then we have great corners. The biggest concern has been inside linebacker, because Josie Jewell was our boy, and Alex Singleton, amazing. They were we called them the Bash Brothers in Denver, and Singleton tore his ACL and has been out the year. And then we lost Josie. And so it's been kind of a real area of concern. But then last week, and I know it was against the Saints, who are garbage, but Cody Barton just balled out of control and was the AFC Defensive Player of the Week, had a sack, fumble, a interception return for a touchdown, should have had another interception, all over the place. So it's just I don't know, our defense is the part that I'm just so excited about. And I think we make the playoffs because of this defense.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of sounds like the old Carolina Panthers, honestly. I mean, that's what we were. I mean, we ran, that's what made Carolina who they were. Yeah, Cam was special, but Carolina's been more known of their defense, always have. But I appreciate the insight there on that. But here is where we got to get into Carolina a little bit, and I'm
gonna tell me what y'all are working with there.
Yeah, not much. I'll be honest. Here's the thing. I'm basically gonna say this is that Bryce Young, for me, I want him to just go out there and play free. Just go out there and don't think about it. Don't think about anything else. Just play free. Because the more that he thinks, the more that he goes out there and just overcompensates and that's when he gets in trouble. You can see it in his decision making. That's what he does. He overthinks, and he holds on to the ball too long, or he waits till the pocket collapses and then moves out and then tries to find someone open instead of being in the pocket, looking, finding his second read. If it's not there, then just throw it away, but just play freely. Go out there and just sling the ball. You have nothing else to lose at this point, right? So that's one thing I have to say is Bryce has just got to go out there and play free. Number 2 is just run the damn ball. Chuba Hubbard has actually been solid. He's currently 5th in the league for rushing yards and averaging over 5 yards per carry. So just give him the rock, and maybe they can grind out some first downs, stop Broncos from spending the entire game from breathing down Bryce's neck, because that's how I'm feeling with that defense that you just explained to me. Another thing on the offensive side of the ball, we just can't screw up. We cannot afford to dig ourselves a grave like we did last week, right? First play of the game, Dalton throws a pick 6. So Bryce just needs to go out there and starts throwing the ball, freely. Don't go out there, throw the ball to your guys or Patrick Surtain. Don't force a ton of turnovers, because if you serve them up on a silver platter, they're going to take them. And Carolina has to play smart than they did last week, or they're just going to be forced to abandon the run game, which has been the reason why we've lost so many games, because we abandoned the run game so early. I think another thing is, obviously, your corners are going to be locking us down because Deontay Johnson is going to be out. So I'm assuming Patrick Surtain is going to be either on Jalen Coker or Xavier Legette. So we got to use our tight ends in this one. Tommy Tremble, Jadavion Sanders have to get the ball. Jadavion Sanders hauled in last week, 6 catches for 61 yards last game. Tommy Tremble's coming back. He's been iffy in practice this week, but if either one of them is breathing on game day, they better be ready to get some targets. So, I think Jadavion Sanders has got to be a guy we got to get the ball to quickly.
Well, dude, if that's a strength for you, that scares me more, because that's been our biggest weakness, and it has been pretty much ever since I remember watching the Broncos is guarding the tight end. We had Kittle set the NFL record for reception yards in the first half of a game against us, and even Brock Bowers, in that Vegas Raiders game we played, basically House called a gorgeous throw. And so, yeah, if you have good tight ends, man, that could be a way to exploit this. And then avoiding the turnover thing, like the Broncos were about to go down 17-0 to the Vegas Raiders, and Pat Surtain had a 100-yard interception return for a touchdown, and the Raiders didn't score again, and we mollywopped them. So I think you're spot on there, that get the ball to a tight end, and then if you can run the rock and win the time of possession, you can definitely be in this game.
Yeah, but the biggest issue has not really been the offense as much as it has been the defense. Now, granted, our offense in the past couple games have been very questionable, but also in the last game, we weren't putting our defense in the best positions because we had Andy Dalton throwing picks. So with that being said, the defense for us has to stop the run. The thing is Denver's ground game. Y'all's game is not, I don't think your ground game's elite, but it's definitely respectable. Like, y'all are sitting, I think, 13th in the NFL. You're averaging 124 yards per game, averaging 4.7 yards per carry. That is very, very respectable. You got a great 1-2 punch, like you were talking about with Javonte Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin. Both of those are combining for, I think, over 450 something yards, with over 110 attempts, something around there. But here's the kicker. Bo Nix has been slicing it up with his legs, what you mentioned, right? And I was looking at his stacks. He's racked up over 250 yards.
Yeah, he's our second leading rusher, which is crazy.
which is crazy. So the Broncos don't really care about focusing on any one rusher.
Right.
And if you're wearing a Broncos jersey and you're on that offense, you can run, right? And you can get the ball. But Carolina's run defense has been a disaster, right? We're dead last in yards allowed per game. We're ranked miserably 23rd in yards per carry. So unless we somehow pull a miracle off, maybe Josie Jewell really wants to play
that, man.
Maybe Josie Jewell really wants to play this game. Maybe he comes back after the limited practice that he did have. Maybe he feels like there's some revenge there for them to trade him away like he did. Maybe he comes out and just absolutely mollywops you guys. I don't know, but it would be an absolute miracle and I would love it. But I just can't say that's going to happen because right now our defensive line is held together with spit and duct tape. So it doesn't hit the ground. I mean, if Carolina doesn't hit the ground running, literally they'll be left eating y'all's dust in this game. So that's the biggest thing for me, is stopping the run, or at least try to. Let's do the final score predictions. What do you got for me? Give me your final thoughts.
Well, bro, you're so cool, man, and fun to talk to, so I can't like break your spirits. Can I be honest?
Oh, yeah, you can just go ahead
and we're going to be like friends no matter what I say?
Sure.
Okay, so the first football game I ever went to in person was against the Panthers, like I said. Denver Broncos won 34-0. I think that happens again, man. I think I think the Broncos are going to win big. And I would be shocked if it was 34-0. I could see us pitching a shutout. I think we've been close a couple times, and all the players in the locker room talk about that. So give me 28-0.
Okay.
Are we friends still?
Oh yeah. No,
okay.
Listen, there's no petty. Okay. Like, I don't want any petty. We're in this situation because of a dumbass owner. So for me, I can't pick Carolina to win this game. It's just not going to happen. It's not even going to be close, but I'm going to say 31-13 Denver wins.
When Sean Payton has familiarity with the team, he has a distinct advantage. I think that was one of the underreported storylines after the Tampa Bay game, is like he knows that Tampa Bay team because it was a former division rival. That's one of the reasons I think we will be locked in for this game. He thinks of the Panthers like we probably think of the Raiders, because he was in the Saints for so long playing them. I think that is why you got to be bullish on the Broncos when they have a rematch against the Chargers. When Sean Payton gets familiarity, he rolls. That's why we beat the Chiefs the second time last year. That's why we got over the hump and now have the Raiders number. So I love, if you are an elite coach and deserving of being traded for a first and a second round pick, which is what we did, if you are the coach that Dick Vermeil says you are, the offensive genius of the decade, then the more familiar you are with the team, the more likely you are to roll and have their number. So I think Sean Payton has the Panthers number. We're going to see that this week. We will be heading into Baltimore with a wind at our back, starting another 3-game winning streak. and Broncos country, we have a ton to believe in. I will be live streaming at the 2-minute warning of our post-game show, and I'll be eating 9.5 Uncrustables. I don't know if my stomach can handle it, but I hope you'll be there.